After an overtime victory in Salt Lake City last night, the Edmonton Oilers, well, they were on a plane to Denver, Colorado to meet an army of nation citizens who are also in Denver, Colorado, nation vacation, as they and the Edmonton Oilers take on the Colorado Avalanche at Ball So Hard Arena tonight. Hello and welcome to Pre-Gaming with Bordzy, presented by Sherwood Ford, the giant for a reason. It's Saturday night. We got a back-to-back. We're the late one, hockey night in Canada, and let me tell you, after a 5-day break, I'm just as jacked up to do this one as I was last night. Checking in with the chat. First comment of the day from Blake. He says, I just want to be happy. To which I said, brother, you might be in the wrong chat. You might need to give that to somebody else. To which Lance Kane replies, there's therapy you can take and medication as well. Lance says, nothing but W's, baby. Austin's in. Said it's a great day for Oilers hockey. Get the fact up, Oil Country. K. Waddy, great point here. Avs playing their third game in 4 nights. Vegas on Wednesday, in Dallas last night, back in Denver, Colorado tonight. Their top dogs, as he says, all played 27 to 30 minutes last night. Boo! They should have an advantage tonight. The Oilers, Maynard's in, asks, is Wedgwood starting tonight? Now, I'm not sure of exact confirmation online right now. We'll keep you posted 30 minutes before puck drop. We'll see who goes in that crease. But Daily Faceoff right now has on their starting goaltender site that it is going to be Alex Georgiev, even though he played last night in Dallas and allowed 5 goals. You got to like that, but we will see. The Avalanche were in the news today as they made a trade. But first off, let me introduce my guest. He's the OG of Oilers Nation. It's Dan, the man, Dan Gallant, Nation Dan. How we doing, Daniel?
Doing great. I'm back from a little vacation in Toronto myself, as I mentioned in the preamble there, talking to you and Brett. Missed most of the game last night, but was able to check some of the highlights, and phenomenal to see the folks in Denver were able to have a watch party with a win at the end of it.
Yeah, they looked pretty lit last night in DNVR, downtown Denver. That bar looks sweet. The podcast setup they had today for the early edition of ONE. Here's some photos going right now. Nation vacations. They're always the best. And Daniel, you know this more than anyone. Look at those smiling, happy faces all throughout. Looks like a really, really cool venue and a spot for all these nation citizens to meet. Obviously, they got the game last night. They met up today, and they're on a bus right now, heading out. Look at Tyler, look at Jay, and look at our boy Rick. And then, Brett, hit this next photo of Jay for me, because this one could straight up be in magazines. Hell of a photo from our fearless leader, Jay Downton, right there. They're also on the bus right now as they're getting ready to head down to Ball So Hard Arena. But Daniel, Nation vacations, they are so much fun. And I don't know, the big ticket on this one, it's not Monday Night Football, but that's going to be a hell of an experience. It's the Oilers taking on the Avalanche in person in Denver, Colorado. And the Oilers Nation team today, I didn't see that one in the fine print, that they had to run a 5K this morning. I don't know about that, brother. I don't know if I would have been in a state able to do that, but shout out to all these guys. And Dan, as I said, you've planned a lot of nation vacations in your time here with the company. How much fun do you think they're having tonight? How much fun have they already had? Because my FOMO, fear of missing out, it's at record highs right now.
Yeah, well, we would be remiss if we both didn't mention how much we would both love to be there. All 3 of us, I think, would love to be there. But yeah, for anybody that hasn't had an opportunity to come on one of these trips, you can't describe it outside of, the experience that everybody expects, which is being able to go to some sporting events with some friends and hang out with some people you see on live broadcasts. But you just can't articulate the camaraderie and the friendship that you build. And there's something about going into the other team's barn, walking in with all of your friends and family in tow. It's understated. If you get an opportunity to go on one of these nation vacations, stay tuned for more coming hopefully soon. But if you get an opportunity to come on one of these, highly recommend it, and really take some time to, yes, it's great to come as a group, but take some time to get to know your fellow nation vacationers, because you get to do things like this. Shout out to Mainlander Tim, who I know sometimes shows himself in the chat here. He is the one that put together that 5K that they did there yesterday. He did invite me to come and do it before he knew that I wasn't going to unfortunately be there, or else I would have been there with bells and whistles on, because that is a dream for me. So to see them be able to go out and do something exciting like that, the turkey trot and chug I thought I saw there on Jay's hoodie, it's just you've created memories that you never would get to do otherwise.
Dan, if you were running a 5K, you would have turned it into a marathon, because my boy has got endurance on endurance. Don't go pull out that medal. Go pull out that medal from finishing the Edmonton Marathon earlier this year. I will pump your tires for you, but I think you made a great point there about, I don't know, man, the relationships and the camaraderie and the friendships that you build with all these people that are, it's not just the Edmonton folks that go down, right? You got Jay from Boston. He's one guy I've gotten to know very well. You got people from all over, the Utah boys. We met some folks in Arizona on the last one. It is incredible to go, wow. There, you look at this photo right here in front of this bus on the way. That is an awesome team. Also, shout out to those guys with the Oilers suit jackets on right now. Best dressed by a mile. They look damn good. They even showed up at the end of Oilers Nation every day, but it's a family here for the nation's citizens. And as you just mentioned, Dan, there might be another one coming up near the end of the year. I've teased it before. It's got bright lights, it's got slot machines, and it could be, who knows, around April 1st. That might also be an April Fool's joke that I'm just teasing you with. You'll never know until we get to April 1st. But let's talk some Oilers hockey now. Also, shout out the boys for the 30-minute pre-game coverage going on as well. I was in it the entire time. They have a 5-leg parlay going down tonight, Daniel, where 4 of them all threw in $20. It's $80 to win $3,600, and I think I'm going to have to sprinkle a little bit just in case and vicariously live through them. But last night, obviously the Edmonton Oilers were in Utah for their first game ever in Salt Lake City, and tonight they will be on the second half of a back-to-back. It was an OT dub last night, and if you forget the first 20 minutes of last night, which I already have gone ahead and done, the Oilers did look great after the 5-day break. The power play went 2 for 3 on the evening and completely flipped the momentum of that game over. The PK continues to remain perfect. They went 1 for 1 and have now killed off 17 consecutively in a row. Calvin Pickard was great, and yes, that's the word I'm using. I thought he was great last night. Capped off by a huge overtime, a winner. And yes, you don't like the start. The first 20 minutes, they only had 5 shots. They looked lifeless. They looked lost. Corey Perry even said, we had to get the junk out of the way. You also don't like the fact that they let Utah tie up the game late in the third period. But Daniel, they looked more like the Edmonton Oilers that I know and love last night, with everything clicking after those first 20 minutes. Thoughts on last night's big overtime winner, and your thoughts on Utah as in their away building, camera angles, weird spot. Jack and Louie were like all the way on what felt like not the concourse, whatever, you know what I mean. Thoughts on the game and Utah in general?
Well, for the Oilers, this organization, since before Jay Woodcroft, have always had an issue with starting games. So to have that rear its ugly head after a 5-day break, somewhat expected. So I guess I give a pass there. The important thing, and you mentioned it, is the Oilers are kind of building. They're building the blocks, the proper structure to their game. We're getting the special teams going. That power play was absolutely humming, and things are just growing. And so yeah, to be able to continue to put the wins on the board even after you have that 5-day off break, it's what you need. And then, yeah, talking about Utah, you got Jack and Louie sounded a little bit bitter about the amount of obstructed seats that are in there. I think we all kind of know that by now, but right at the start of the game, I think they dropped that there's like 4,000 obstructed seats, and I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I love watching all of these expansion franchisees kind of adopt their team and adopt an identity as a fan base. And so, yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I love to see that the Oilers were able to pull out a W.
Yeah, I thought it was good. And Rome wasn't built in a day, so we're gonna give them a pass at the Delta Center out there. Next year, when they've got a team name and they've got a logo and things, we can go from
Maybe
there.
a team name.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly. Now, I also want to talk, right? We've had no Hyman, no Arvidsson for the past 2 games, and it's been no problem as now the Edmonton Oilers are on an 8-day winning streak. Exactly right. But Vasily Podkolzin, we're getting some depth scoring all over. He has now had goals in back-to-back games. Nuge obviously scored that massive overtime winner last night. Connor Brown has looked good in spurts in the top 6, a little up, a little bit down. Corey Perry is fitting like a glove on power play 1 right now. You can't even tell the difference between him and Zach Hyman. Perry even had a line last night and he said, hey, I've made much of my career in that blue paint. This is nothing new for him. And I don't know, all things considered with the injury bug coming through the Oilers forwards and specifically their wingers, I think it's been good, all things considered right now. And I mean, you're getting the production, at least right now, because you haven't gotten any from anybody really but not named Connor and Leon so far this year. It's been awesome to see. And, hopefully something we're going to see here as we kick off quarter number 2 of the season. And it's kind of time here for the depth of the Edmonton Oilers to really kick in and do what we spent all summer talking about, right? Deepest top 9 you've ever seen, 12 forwards deep. What are we going to do with the lineup? Right now, I'm looking for these tertiary guys, these depth wingers to start performing and specifically producing on the score sheet. We've had moral victories here and there. I need numbers. I need stats right now, obviously, without Hyman and Arvidsson.
Yeah, well, and I mean, this team has always been one of those ones that we've been begging for a little bit of stability from, and Knobloch has, been the one to kind of turn the dials up and down from game to game, from practice to practice. We're not sure what roster we're going to see, but when you have this many injuries, your options are lessened, and you have to kind of start to work those guys in and leave them in their spots. And I think that on this show, we've been very positive about a guy like Vasily Podkolzin and giving him that opportunity to continue to solidify that unity between him and Draisaitl. And it's starting to come to fruition. The guys are shooting and they're continuing to shoot, and those shooting percentages are rounding into form as well. The team is just going to continue to kind of, I think, gel, and we're going to find some stuff that works, like Corey Perry on that top power play unit, to maybe be able to spell out some of these guys that are struggling and maybe don't deserve that spot on that top power play. So yeah, it's been tough with the injuries, especially around the question marks as to what the hell they actually are when it comes down to what these guys are physically dealing with. But the team and winning is always going to be a way to gloss over some of that stink. So yeah, it's been wonderful to have the team win a couple of games, take some time to get healthy, and now we'll see what we can do as the teams and the units are able to gel together.
Sky's the limit here. It's quarter number 2. It's time to get going. Also, final buzzers in. He says, sir, Perry is no Hyman. Maybe hot take alert right here, but yes, in the grand scheme of things. Dare I say this season, Corey Perry's been better than Zach Hyman? I don't want to say crazy things, but he's been about as good as him. But I do get your point, final buzzer. You're right. Mr. Burns says, I really want some goals from Rico, Adam Henrique, that is, and then Maynard. I want so badly to be wrong about Jeff Skinner. I just don't think I am. Yeah, don't worry later, Dan. We'll have our every single game, every single day, Jeff Skinner update and Jeff Skinner talk. I haven't talked to you in a week. I got to figure out where you're at right now. But tonight, it's going to be the Colorado Avalanche as the Oilers take them on. And we know, regardless of their record this season, they're an offensive juggernaut. I always think it's like looking into the mirror of the Edmonton Oilers, McKinnon, McDavid, Rantanen, Draisaitl, Cale Makar, Bouchard as well. Here you get a look at the head-to-head tail-to-tape comparison. And holy shit, Daniel, somebody else has a worse penalty kill unit than the Edmonton Oilers. Stand up and rejoice. They also allow more goals and considerably allow more goals than the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, their offense, it's still good. Look at that goals for number and look at that power play number. But much like the Edmonton Oilers, the Avs haven't really played with much consistency this season. I think that is a very nice way to put it, despite expectations for another Stanley Cup. Does that sound familiar to you? Because it sure does to me. The offense is there, but it's been the goaltending. It has been the defensive problems in their own end. And we know it too. You cannot outscore all of your problems, that is. So they're above 500. They're 13-11-0 on the season, but they actually have a -9 goal differential on the season. And I don't know, that mostly hangs to me on defensive mistakes and really incapable goaltending. Another very nice way to put it, which caused the Colorado Avalanche to make a trade earlier today as they shipped out Justus Noonan and a 6th-round pick to the Nashville Predators for one Scott Wedgwood. And Alexander Georgiev is the starter. I think he probably takes most of this blame this season for those numbers. Noonan hasn't been good, but this trade shows just how desperate the Colorado Avalanche are to get some good goaltending. I already forget the name of the guest on ONE that was just 1 hour ago, but he pointed out Noonan's numbers that against shitty teams, he was above 900. Anytime he played a team in a playoff spot, he had a 700 save percentage, which is just crazy. You cannot have that, and especially with the team like the Colorado Avalanche. So defense, goaltending, very, very shaky. We don't know if Wedgwood's even going to be there in time at Ball So Hard Arena. But regardless of who's going to be in the net tonight, strategy for me, Bagnook said it a lot on ONE and today in his game day breakdown article, attack, 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 throw everything on the net. Step 1, pucks on net. Step 2, traffic in front of net. Step 3, profit. Daniel, do you agree? Because there's been some shaky goaltending for the Colorado Avalanche this season.
Absolutely. The Avalanche, if I'm not remembering correctly, I don't know. There was a time where when you went to Daily Faceoff, because of injuries and you looked at their top forwards, you may not recognize more than half of them at one point this season. So they've had that excuse as well. But yes, as a person that has owned Alexander Georgiev twice this year in fantasy hockey and dropped him twice this year in fantasy hockey, Colorado Avalanche have just always been a team that have been able to overcome middle of the ground goaltending and be able to outscore and out defend it to a certain degree. And of course, it seems like some of the personnel from those championship teams are now gone and are aged out and have kind of been replaced from the underneath. And it's not as good as what you had when you had that championship caliber team with Darcy Kemper in the net. Again, another middle of the ground goaltender that nobody's really heard of since then. It's just, it's the way that they do things. So for them to be able to overcome that this year and round into form, you expect it from them as well. You said it well. When it comes to these two teams, the parallels are there. The difference being, of course, we just don't have the same caliber of defenseman as Cale Makar. We have to do it by committee of sorts. So, yeah, I like the idea of going after Georgiev. I think that the recipe is going to be the same for both teams. I expect to see some firepower going back and forth, some fire wagon hockey. And like we saw against Utah with a couple of 2-on-1 goals, expect to see a couple of 2-on-1 opportunities on one Stuart Skinner because he loves those.
Yeah, and you mentioned Colorado, right? They have that championship DNA, but it's the retool. It hasn't been a rebuild, but it's been a retool on the fly. And yeah, that's enough of that as well. On the other end of the rink, obviously the Oilers, brother, you got to be careful in your own end and the neutral zone against this Colorado Avalanche team because they got the top end talent to absolutely kill you. Much like the Dallas Stars when we played them. I always stress the neutral zone because if you mess up your breakouts or your neutral zone passing, they can bang, bang, boom, turn it up the other end and go down the ice. Also, if you make mistakes in your own end, you think Mikko Rantanen in front of the net isn't going to snipe. Oh, he's got that ability. And this Avalanche team, do not be fooled by their record because they can still score plenty of goals. You did mention, however, they've had some brutal luck so far this season with injuries. They are still without Gabriel Landeskog, their captain, Miles Wood, Ross Colton, Tucker Pullman, and Jonathan Drouin for the foreseeable future. That sucks, brother. That's not going to be very good. Obviously, the Gabe Landeskog one is it's a weird situation. We do think he's going to play this season, of course, but the way it's gone so far, who knows? And also, despite the Avalanche being at home tonight, they are in the midst of some crazy travel. They're spending 26 of 34 days on the road between November 17th and December 20th. So they are smack dab right in the middle of that right now. Also mentioned by K. Waddy off the hop. They're in their third game in 4 nights as they hosted Vegas Wednesday, traveled to Dallas for yesterday's game. They would have flown back. Boom, they're back in Denver, Colorado. So we will see what we get from the Colorado Avalanche this evening. Let's go now. Let's go to need to know information courtesy of our friends from Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because only the finest tasting meat products earn that Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, smoked, and marinated to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size, and you can find their jerky, sausage, and other products out of their Leduc location. And for more info, go to willhawkbeefjerky.com. Also, Christopher Palmer is back in the chat. I haven't seen him in a while. He said, I missed you all. Glad to be back, though I'm going to miss the warm weather. Yeah, I follow KP. I don't know how many vacations that guy takes a year, but I am jealous as shit about it.
I know how many. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. KP, feel free to take me on one anytime. Need to know info. Obviously, no Hyman, no Arvidsson. Hyman might play Tuesday against the Vegas Golden Knights, but RV, he's been ruled out for the entire 3-game roadie. We do expect it will be the same lineup as last night, but because it's a back-to-back, we won't know till about 30 minutes past the hour. Now, earmuffs for this one, but it's also a reason, and we can profit off of this. We do not love the Edmonton Oilers record against the Colorado Avalanche lately, but we love the over tonight. In their last 10 games, the Oilers, earmuffs, they're 2-5-3 against the Avalanche. They've been outscored 42-31, which if you do that math, is 73 goals in 10 games. If you do math on that, it's 7.3 total goals per game. And the line tonight is 6.5 even at -110. We love the over tonight. I'm smashing that one. All right, Dan, you're good now. Vasily Podkolzin, he's obviously finding his offensive game, scoring in back-to-back games. He leads the Oilers with 55 hits on the season, and he leads it by a country mile. He now has 2 goals and 4 points in his last 4 games, and he's got 7 in 23 games overall. Saw some math here. I think it was shout out Zach Lang for this one. So right now he's at 0.3 points per game, which is only slightly behind his pace in his rookie season, which was 0.33 when he scored 14 goals in his regular season. And we've seen him not getting the puck luck so far to start the year, but the eye test was there. Expect that points per game number to continue to rise, especially if he's riding shotgun with Leon Draisaitl. And finally, Stu gets the start tonight against the Avalanche. In the regular season, he is 2-1-2 against the Avs with a .923 save percentage and a .291 goals against average. We do remember what happened in the playoffs a couple years ago, but we're not going to talk about that. He's also had above a .900 save percentage in 2 of his last 3 games. More on Skinner later in the starting goaltenders and some numbers and some reasons why you should believe when the calendar turns to December that you should be believing and betting on one Stuart Skinner. Colorado, side of the coin tonight, they sit 4th in the Central Division, 13-11-0 record, and they're actually tied with the Oilers for a wild card spot. Their offense, it's as elite as it's ever been. That their defense obviously is the issue. They rank 10th in goals for per game, but they rank 30th in goals against per game, despite allowing the 3rd least shots on goal in the entire NHL, right? You don't just want to put it on goaltending, but you're pretty much entirely going to put it on goaltending because that's where the issue has been. They have combined Georgiev and Noonan coming into this. Noonan? I don't even know how to say his first name. Whatever, you get the point. He's no longer an Avalanche. First one? Okay. But those two combined, they have an 855 save percentage this season. It's been awful. That's why Noonan there, he got traded earlier today. Daily Faceoff says it's going to be Georgiev. Once again, keep it locked on Twitter. And then you look at the offense, the 3-headed monster from this team. Nathan McKinnon, he is 1 point behind the league leader in the NHL. Dan, do you know who leads the NHL in points coming into today?
It's not Kirill Kaprizov, is it?
No, even more. You wouldn't think so. He plays on the Carolina Hurricanes.
Sebastian Aho.
Martin Nietzsche's.
Oh, that's, yeah. Brett said the answer and I didn't even read it. Right. Thank you, Brett.
Shout out Brett. He's behind the scenes. But that blew my mind today as well. Mikko Rantanen.
Is it Rod Brindamore? I'm guessing Rod Brindamore. Final answer.
Yo, we got an issue with Rod Brindamore out here in oil country. Elephants do not forget. But Rantanen, he's fourth in the NHL with goals. He's got 15 currently. And Kel McCarr, he's tearing it up. 32 points in 24 games. And he basically leads all defensemen in like every single major offensive statistical category. He's good. You're going to have to keep your eyes on him this evening. All right, there's your need to know. Let's go now to our Sherwood Ford Giants storyline, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giants. Tired of dealership hassles? Well, Sherwood Ford in Sherwood Park is all about convenience and upfront pricing with their Giant Deal program. Get clear, no nonsense pricing on new and used Fords online with all incentives included. Plus, enjoy the ease of mobile service, free pickup and delivery, and same day or next day service appointments. Okay, so my storyline tonight is that regardless of the Colorado Avalanche's record right now, regardless of their shaky goaltending, this is a team you cannot take lightly. Yes, they're on their third game in 4 nights. The Oilers, they're in the back-to-back. There can be excuses all over the place, but they have an offense that rivals the Oilers. They have top talent that rivals the Edmonton Oilers, and the numbers say they can kill you offensively regardless of what has been in the net so far. They are 2 games above 500 right now, and the thing is they've had inconsistent goaltending. But as we know in Edmonton all too well, inconsistent goaltending can be great one night, dog shit the next. It can be all over the place. You never know what you're going to get. So you can't take it for granted tonight. Who knows how Georgiev is going to play? But as I mentioned, he got shelled last night. So we'll see how that one goes. You got to bring your A game tonight. This is going to feel like a playoff game. We all remember the memories of years ago in the playoffs against this team. And I don't know. Yes, you're on the second half of a back-to-back, like I said. But Daniel, you just had a 5-day break and a 5-day rest. No excuses. You go out there and you better be ready to ride tonight. And I'm looking for a quick start, right? Like, I don't know. Rick said it on O&E. It was funny because he's a little lost in the sauce. And he goes, the Oilers should just score first every game. I go, well, I mean, yeah, that would be sick. I think they're trying to do that out there. But a start tonight is also going to be key.
Do we think that they've considered that in the locker room?
Mm-hmm.
Have they considered incentivizing people by doubling the holiday parties? I don't know. Like, yes, Rick, you're right. They should come out guns a-blazing. I am concerned about the full 60-minute effort. I just always am going to be with this team. It's shown its head too many times this season. It's shown its past in past seasons. It's always going to be an issue. So yes, come out guns a-blazing and shoot the puck at the net, but it's got to be effective shots. And this team, you know, when they're successful, they are moving that puck around and they've got the shots at the net instead of into the shin pads.
Yeah, last night they were humming around on the power play, man. It looked like the Edmonton Oilers, as I said. Now, let's take a peek here at the Edmonton Oilers lineup, brought to you by Sherwood Ford. Brett, pull it up for me right now, what we expect this evening for the Oilers. Nuge, McDavid, and Kasperi Kapanen on the top line with Podzilla, Draisaitl, and Connor Brown. And it's Jeff Skinner, Daniel. There he is, still in the lineup, still plugging away in the bottom 6 with Adam Henrique and Matthias Janmark. And then your fourth line, Drake the Snake Kajula with Derek Ryan and Corey Perry. We look at the decor, Ekholm Bush, Nurse with Stetch, Kulak with Emerson is what we do expect tonight. As I mentioned, they should be hitting the ice right now as they're going down. So we'll get some tweets. We'll let you know as we go along. But special teams was a huge story last night in that game. And I want to talk about the unit that is red hot right now in the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill. This month of November, you know what helps improve your numbers? If you take less penalties. And in this month of November, they have taken the least penalties in the entire NHL. They're averaging just slightly over 2 per game. And brother, they haven't allowed a power play goal in their last 8 games. They've been perfect. 17 for 17. And you got to think they were cooking before, But then you get that 5-day break. You can really hone in. They spent days on the power play and the penalty kill, specifically trying to hone in those units because we've seen it. They've bought into the structure. They've bought into clearing the front of the net better, I will say. They've bought into getting in shooting lanes and passing lanes. But tonight, this is the big test. This is the real test. McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, Nichushkin, Middlestat, I believe, is the 5-man unit for their first power play. That's loaded, okay? And I know you're perfect, Brett. You pull it up right here because look at that top one. Second one also is good, but they're much like the Edmonton Oilers. It is all about power play one. And speaking for the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill, I'm not going to be freaking out if they get picked apart this evening and, they allow one or they allow two. But if they can contain this Avs power play or at least limit them, I'm not even going to say blank them, but if they can get that done tonight, that'll go a long way in confidence to this fan base, to themselves, to the coaches that they can do this. And I will be 100% back in on this penalty kill because, Daniel, can you even believe that our PK starts with a 7 right now and we're playing a team with a worse penalty kill than us? Because the way this season started, I didn't know if we'd ever get back to the 70% range. The PK, it's going to be a big test tonight.
Yeah, well, I think that from last year to this year, the personnel has changed on the PK, so things were obviously going to need some adjustments. I noticed on the graphic there we had Matthias Janmark playing twice. I know that Connor Brown has kind of slotted into that number 1 PK unit now, and I think that Henrique and Nugent Hopkins have kind of been the key on this PK from where I sit. Henrique has been coming on for me, and I can't remember the user that was mentioning it earlier that I just lost it. Oh yeah, that Henrique has been firing the puck and just playing the game better in the last, and noticeably better in the last few games. And then Nugent Hopkins, one of the two guys on this team that has really had the spot that he was given at the start of the year, just kind of continuously gifted to him, basically because there's nobody else that can replace him. But yeah, for those two guys, I think that they're kind of the person that is stirring the drink here. The defensive personnel has been interchangeable and moving around quite a bit on this team. So yeah, I really give a credit to those two centermen and what they're doing on this PK so far, and we'll continue to hopefully see it trend in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm looking for that, and I'm nervous to look at this Colorado Avalanche power play this evening. Like I said off the hop there, just don't take any penalties, and we won't have to see them at all this evening. Also, somebody pointed out, I forget what the number was of how many penalties Dry took in the first 8 games of the season, and he's taken 0 over the last 15 games. Gold star to Leon Draisaitl for being kind of getting that in check and being more of a leader as well. And you know where he's leading? You know where he's leading? It is on the Edmonton Oilers power play. And much like that PK, they worked on it over the break. And last night, it looked like they had fresh life, which is funny considering they almost have a 40-year-old man on that power play 1 unit in Corey Perry. But they looked great, right? They went 2 for 3 on the night. It completely flipped the momentum. It was the TSN turning point without a doubt. And even furthermore, first period, the Oilers were not skating. They were not moving their feet. They drew 2 penalties and got these 2 goals in the power play solely by moving their feet in the neutral zone and the offensive zone. And then what do you know? You get that opportunity and you're bing, bang, boom, back in the game. But the power play just looked way better. There was so much more motion. We've talked ad nauseum this season about everyone just standing around, and it's just 97 doing a loop. We had way more guys interchanging spots right now, and I know they were reacting quicker to the shooting lanes, to the passing lanes. John Goyens really stressed on Oilers Nation every day this week about puck retrievals and winning battles along the boards after rebounds. They were doing that last night, getting a puck back to Bouchard where he resets, and then they start cooking again. Hopefully tonight the Edmonton Oilers can continue to let that roll, especially against a Colorado penalty kill that is worse than the Oilers' 0.4% behind them. Power play tonight, really, Dan, special teams in general. And I mean, that's what you're going to get when you have teams with this much top-end talent, and you look at both of those power play units. But tonight, special teams got to be special, and the power play last night was just that. They were special. And this is the time that we're starting to cook a little bit more and look like the Oilers.
Good special teams dictate the play to the other team, and they just take what the other team gives them. And you saw that last night. When the puck gets to a player's stick, they have a look. Do they have an opportunity? If not, it's gone and it's on to the next option. And when Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Evan Bouchard, and then, Corey Perry is out there and they're zipping the puck around, all those guys can dictate the play to you. That shot from Connor McDavid, like the defenseman, I think it might have even been Bukestad, comes down and taps his goalie on the shoulder. Like, what the hell could you do on that kind of a shot? There's just no opportunity for it when you have that much talent on the ice. It just felt like early in the season, guys were receiving the puck and then they were dusting it off and having a good, couple of thoughts about things before they then would fire it off. And the guys were already the other opposing team was already in the lane. So I mean, you saw it start in that game against Vancouver a couple of Saturdays ago, and things have just kind of started to click for this team. We've been begging for that this whole time for patience, that it will come along with this top unit. All it took was a little bit of a demotion from Zach Hyman thanks to an injury bug, and in comes Corey Perry, and all of a sudden they're lethal and they're aggressive.
Yeah, and Corey Perry's a totally fine guy to have come into that role for Zach Hyman. Fully expect Hyman to take it when he gets back. Also, number one fan says more movement on the power play creates chaos and more opportunities to score, right? Was that rocket science during the beginning of the season? I don't really understand what was going on, but we're past that and we're moving along. All right, Dan, you ready for this one?
Born ready.
Jeff Skinner time. We got to talk about the boy, Jeff Skinner, Skin Dog. Let's have our every single game Jay Skin discussion now. And I'm curious where you're at, because we haven't talked in, over a week. Where you're at right now with Skinner as a fan, because for me personally, I thought he has looked a little bit more at home on that third line with Rico and Matthias Janmark. And I don't know, he's been around it offensively for a bit. And then you saw again last night, his first shift of the game, he was arguably his best one ever as an Edmonton Oiler. He was all over it. And then like 40 seconds later, he allows a high danger chance right in front of the net because he just allows the streaking forward to go right in. And I go, damn it, brother, that's not going to help you get out of the doghouse. But I don't know. When Victor Arvidsson comes back, I think I'd like to see Skinner stay on that third line, obviously. I'm not putting him in the top six as much as we'd like to see him get going. But I think he can really work well with Rico, Brown, and himself on that third line. Maybe you demote Matthias Janmark. I know he's been good this season and has the numbers, but come on, who are we fooling here? Matthias Janmark, I think, is a perfectly fine and very productive fourth line winger. But I don't know where you at with Skin right now. I'm so sick and tired of even talking about this never-changing story, but it's going to be a situation worth monitoring from now all the way to the NHL trade deadline, because where he's at right now, he's on a $1 year deal, $3 million or whatever. He could be expendable. I also, imagine this guy picks the Edmonton Oilers so he could play playoff games, and then right before the trade deadline, he got shipped out of here to a non-playoff team. Hopefully that never happens because he finds his game. Daniel, where are you at with Skin Dog Jeff Skinner right now?
Well, I have admittedly been watching him with more of a lens of the coach, I think, than a fan. And so, yes, you start to understand why Knobloch maybe doesn't want him to get as many minutes on the ice right now. But I do believe that just like Connor Brown last year, you're going to have a player here that is going to come into form, and it's going to be just fine once the season is all said and done. I really don't see the team moving on from him and making many adjustments in the forward core, as is. Right now, we're looking more at defensive help needs and then perhaps even goaltending before too much offensive help comes in. I'm still of the patient mindset, but I'm starting to see what Knobloch has been seeing instead of my blind kind of adoration for the shoot first and ask questions later kind of mentality that we saw from Skinner to start the season.
If you're going to play in the bottom six, you got to play offense, and you definitely got to play defense, and Lance says it right here, nice and simple. Skinner doesn't like to play defense. Yeah,
I think that's not know how to.
That's a fact, actually. We ever considered asking him if he knows how. Dan, final one last night. I went 3 for 3 on Bordzy's bankroll. I was seeing the board well, and tonight I think we're going to see an incredibly high-scoring game. I couldn't find the stat, but either way, take my word for it. There's been a lot of overtime games lately between the Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. What kind of style are we going to see tonight? Is it going to be run and gun, up and down the ice, shootout, just a fest of goals going on, or do you think they'll be a little bit more reserved as we have two shaky goaltenders in the nets this evening?
I foresee a high goal scoring game tonight. I just don't think that, I don't necessarily believe that Stuart Skinner is broken, but I do think he's got a lot of stuff left to work on. And I think that a game like tonight is a nightmare for him. Again, I've really been struggling watching him with his lateral movement, and I anticipate the Oilers will be giving up a couple of odd man chances here tonight. As we've mentioned, the Colorado Avalanche are vicious in that neutral zone, and the Oilers like to give pucks away in that neutral zone. So recipe for not great success there. I would anticipate a lot of goals are scored tonight.
Goals, goals, goals. I want goals, goals, goals. Okay, I want the over. I want it all because we're betting this evening, baby. Let's go now to the starting goaltender report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Hit the trails this winter and the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are helping Oilers Nation fans gear up. They're home of an ATV for just $50 bi-weekly, or you can cruise the open water on a boat for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are hockey fans, helping hockey fans get ready for their next adventure with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, boats, and scooters, because we like those. All right, Brett, pull it up here for me. The tail. Oh, wait, no, we don't have it. That's right. We don't have it this evening. But we did get just confirmation right now. We are seeing Alex Georgiev against one Stuart Skinner. And we'll start with Stuart Skinner first, right? He gets to start. His last game was very good against the New York Rangers. He stopped 32 of 34. And this, Dan, is usually the time of year where Stuart Skinner begins to cook. So shout out to Zach Lang for this graph. It shows Stu's numbers as it goes from month to month. So here you see it highlights the jump from November to December and January. Thank you for the zoom in there, Brett. In December, he's got a .915 save percentage and a .258 goals against average. Gets even better in January with a .920 save percentage and a .243 goals against, as opposed to sub 900 and above 3 goals against per game in October and November. So, point being, if history shows us anything, it is A, we are bound to repeat history and do it all over again, and B, I really hope for the Oilers' sake that this rings true and we're going to see Stuart Skinner start to cook here. I've pointed out in December, the Oilers play a shit ton of hockey games on home ice. It's basically Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's a very consistent schedule. It's a very home-centric schedule, maybe around the holidays. Maybe Stu will be in a better mood. Maybe he's a big Christmas guy. But because of those numbers, I do believe Stu is going to turn it around shortly here. And tonight, a game against this offense in Colorado with those players would go a long way. And I think confidence to the coaching staff, confidence to the fan base, and probably confidence in Stu himself.
Yeah, I mean, Skinner has. I don't anticipate that this will be the game that he turns the corner and shuts the door and slams the door shut. But I do think that, yes, that Zach's statistical numbers gives me a little bit of hope that the turnaround is coming here. The number that stuck out to me on that chart is the sheer number of games played that Skinner has in the month of November, perhaps playing a little bit of a role into that fatigue thing, but where he's had that in the past in his career, he hasn't necessarily had the issues this year with fatigue because he didn't have the Jack Campbell fall apart last year. He has had Pickard to be able to spell him. So I really think that this year is set up perfectly for him to be able to have that turnaround in December, because Pickard can continue to spell him in the times of need where Skinner is struggling.
It would be nice to see it this evening. It would mean a lot. But yes, I'm not going to hold my breath. Also, Maynard points out, again, it's still November. So technically, I'm just getting you ready. It's called pregame, and we're getting ready for the next one in December as well. Shout out to you guys. Hold me accountable in the chat. Now we got Alex Georgiev on the other side tonight. It looks like it has been confirmed here. Bailey Curtis, he's got it also. Avs beat writer Evan Raywall, they both got Georgiev starting, and he has been nothing short of brutal so far this season. He's 7-6-0. He's got a 3.33 repeating goals against average and an 872 save percentage. Obviously, Justice Anunin there, he was no better. They bring in Scott Wedgwood. And I mean, I don't know what you're going to expect a 32-year-old Scott Wedgwood to do at this point in his career. He's never really been a number one goaltender for any team. And I don't know. I don't have a ton of confidence that he can come in and solve this crease crisis in Colorado going on right now. Crease crisis in Colorado. Holy shit, Bordzy, you're cooking right now with an alliteration. Georgiev is going to get it. He got lit up last night in Dallas. They picked him apart, and he looks like he's going to have to be out there again. It's a tough situation right now. I said on the top of the show, right, Dennis, you look at all these numbers and you read these things about the Avalanche. It's a team game, I know, but it really does seem as close as possible to putting it on strictly two guys on this team that play in the blue paint. Alex Georgiev, he has not had a good season thus far.
No, and I think that, I spoke about it just a minute ago. I think that the X factor for the Oilers has just been the ability to lean on Pickard, whereas you saw last year when this team had two goalies struggling, we were absolutely panicking and we had to go down to the AHL and pull up a goalie there. Colorado just didn't seem to have that option. So I like the move for Colorado's sake because Wedgwood comes in and at least stabilizes your goaltending position to be able to allow Georgiev to have that minute to breathe. I don't know who it was. I think it might have even been Biz Nasty I was watching on TNT was talking about in his time in Arizona, one of their goalies was really struggling and they just took the opportunity to give him like a week off of just completely walk away from the game and reset. And I gotta believe that bringing in like a Wedgwood allows them now the opportunity to say to Georgiev, yeah, calm down. You've got a guy in a 32-year-old vet that doesn't have to have that deer in the headlight look of, well, if Georgiev can't do this, why can Justice do this? Kind of mentality. And yeah, so I don't mind the move from them. I am just hopeful we get to see an e-bug tonight.
Oh, yeah, that'd be sick. Oh, yeah, I'll take that as well. Watch him come out and put up a 950 save percentage. Bullshit like that. Let's go now to the Colorado Avalanche away lineup brought to you by Greta Barrier. Greta is where Oilers Nation loves to party pregame and postgame, weekday or weekend. We're going to be there all season long for our viewing parties, our watch parties. And come on now, go down there, check out the great street food menu. They got incredible games in the arcade. They got weekly drink specials, and it is an excellent vibe. TV setup, absolutely elite down there, Greta Barrier. And as I always say, tell them Bordzy sent you, and who knows, no promises. They might actually do something for you. I feel like if you ask for Phil and see if that will work as well. Pull it up here for me, Bert. It is the projected lineup this evening for the Colorado Avalanche. Top line, Arturi Lehkonen with Nate Dogg, Nathan McKinnon with Val Nichushkin. He's back. Nikolai Kovalenko with Casey Middlestat on the second line with Mikko Rantanen, who, I don't want to say it, but he's on my fantasy team, and he has been lighting it up this season so far. Third line, Joel Kiviranta, I believe, and then Ivan, Logan O'Connor. Then fourth line, Chase Bradley with Parker Kelly and Chris Wagner. You go to the decor, Devon Taves with Cale Makar, Sam Girard with Josh Manson, Calvin DeHaan with Sam Malinsky. So the Avs, they gave up another 5 goals last night against the Dallas Stars, their division rival Dallas Stars. Talk about a low division. You got the Avalanche, you got Winnipeg, you got Dallas. You got some squads out there, and they've been allowing a lot of goals recently, but their defense, they've been getting blamed, but there are some underlying numbers that would say they haven't been as bad. They've given up 55 goals, 5v5, but their expected goals during that span is 43.3%. So they are doing a good job. Their save percentage at 5v5 is second worst in the entire NHL at 88%. And they've only given up 39 high danger chances at 5v5, which is fifth in the entire NHL. So you look at those numbers and it's kind of like you just need your goalie to make a save. And I believe I had it written down elsewhere in here, but it's that they are minus 1.6 expected goals per game every game, meaning in English, there's 1.6 expected saves a game that they are not making. 1.6 expected pucks are going through them right now. But their defense, you look at that core. Devon Toews, Cale Makar, expect both of those guys to be on Team Canada. Sam Girard, he's been reliable for years right now. Josh Manson, he's a brick shithouse. What do you think about the Avalanche defense? And obviously, we know what they do with their offense, but this is a pretty good decor, all things considered, and they can play responsible in their own end. They just need save.
Yeah, I mean, Edmonton fans would beg to have that kind of consistency for a top four at least. I know Calvin DeHaan coming from Nashville, I believe, last season. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see. But Brett, I was going to get you to bring up that third line as well, or the fourth line as well, and it kind of highlights this team is really a two-line team at this point. That fourth line has 2 goals and 3 assists between all of them this season. It's rough. It looks made up, including their third line center, which is just 2 first names back to back. Looks like a typo on the board. But I guess the thing for me that's most worrisome, and you mentioned that there too, touched on it, Val Nichushkin proves that you can do no wrong with this team, and you can get welcome back again and again as long as you have a little bit of talent. But he has absolutely lit it up. 6 points in his first 7 games back in the NHL, so watch out for him.
That guy is a brick shithouse, man. He scores goals. He's thick and right. Obviously, he's dealt with everything off the ice. We don't even need to talk about that. But that team needs him because he's immediately back to the top line, back to the top power play. They need Val Nichushkin to do Val Nichushkin things. So let's go now. Let's talk some bets, Daniel. It's time for Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365, because Bet365 is a proud partner of Pre-Gaming with Bordzy. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code, all capitals, NATION. All right. So we're red hot right now, Daniel. Last night we went 3 for 3 on the evening, and we even parlayed them all together. We bet them separately and we parlayed them. We're in the green today, so we're feeling good. First option tonight, number 97 to get over 3.5 shots on goal. That one is plus 135. And McDavid lately, he's just a man possessed. He's back to looking like the best player on planet Earth. I was thinking about 2 points. I was thinking about even 3 points at one point. No, I said play it smart. You see plus 135 for 4 shots. And Connor has been hitting this a lot as of late. And we saw him last night snipe one bar down. The second option, I was torn between Dry or Bush for this one. And I'm gonna believe in my guy here. He's gonna have to compete against Cale Makar. Batter the power play quarterbacks tonight. So it's Bush to get 1+ power play point at plus 238. I do believe that says. Maybe that's a 0. I can't remember what I bet on. And then finally, it hit last night. We're going again over 6.5 total goals in the game right now. Minus 115 on Bet365, which isn't the greatest odds, but we're going to take it. I've pointed out they've averaged 7.3 total goals per game in the last 10 meetings between these two teams. So we've got 0.8 to even play with right there. Daniel, look at these 3 bets. Which one do you like the most? Which one is going to make me profit this evening?
If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with number 97, getting over 3.5 shots on goal. I do believe that he will be putting the puck towards the net. I think that every Edmonton Oilers player knows the storyline behind Georgiev tonight, and why not? Why not come out and just fire that puck? The Colorado Avalanche are going to be tired after their game last night as well. Go after him.
I see Tyler's pants is in and says Bordzy's on a hot streak. Plunk it down. Lance is in and says Nurse goal here as well. I know our boy Lance. He's been singing Darnell's praises, and I obviously have as well. I'm a strict believer. Hashtag Nurse for Norris. We've been pushing that one for multiple years now as well, as crazy as that is. Nurse has been good this season. He hit my shot prop last night, which was 1/3 of the parlay. We like Darnell, man. He's been ripping the puck, stepping up in the play a little bit more. All right, before we head out here, we got to do some final housekeeping notes because, as Dan, you just pointed out in the chat, we've got to advertise for our Black Friday sale. And you said, oh shit, we missed it. No, it's going on all weekend long. Nationgear.ca. The Score Big Sale, 15% off site-wide and free shipping for every order over $200. We've got the classics, Keep Nuge Forever, Hope Will Never Die, Pre-Gaming with Bordzy, hoodies and t-shirts as well. But I just made my order. You got to check out the new My City collection. You see them on your screen. They come in gray. They come in white. They come in hoodies. They come in crew necks. They also come in all black, My City, as these ones look sick. If you ask me, Edmonton Hockey, established 1979. And while you're at nationgear.ca, getting that 15% off, why don't you hope will never die, as our Christmas sweater has dropped. It's on the website. You can pick up this bad boy as well. Super comfortable, super festive. Come on, the Oilers going to be playing some games over the holidays. You want to rock this one while you're wearing your pajama pants. You're drinking coffee and Baileys. You're drinking as well because, Brett, let's double up, triple up. Odd Company Nation beers, baby. Get them at both Odd Company locations in the Edmonton area. LiquorConnect.com. Find out which local liquor stores be selling these things. Last night, people were asking me if I would shotgun beers if the Edmonton Oilers won on postgame. These ones are specifically set beers, and they are made for me to not allowed to drink them and open them up. But we'll give you a little tease tonight. The Edmonton Oilers do win a hockey game. I do have some extra cans that it's a Saturday night. If the Oilers go back to back, I think we might have to gun a couple beers or maybe just one beer on our way out on post game tonight. Daniel, big shouts out to you for joining me on pre-gaming. You're also going to be joining me for post game right here on the Oilersnation YouTube right after the game. And we may be joined by some, probably I'm just going to say it, Drunko the Clowns from the Nation Vacation out there in Denver. They already look like they were having a hell of a time. They did a shot of green tea right before they left Oilers Nation every day. And the shots are just fucking huge cups, dude. Like they're just in the States, they do it right. But the moment Tyler threw it back, you could see his face. He was like, oh no. Oh no. Oh. That might have been the one that did it. Kennedy sent me a Snapchat minutes later. Ty was grooving out on the bus on the way to the game. So it's going to be a good one. Final question, Dan. Score prediction, anytime goal scorer. What's happening tonight? Shake that crystal ball.
Let's say final score is going to be 6-4 for your Edmonton Oilers. Anytime goal scorer, I like some. Gino in the chat. I love it. I like Adam Henrique to score a goal tonight. I do believe he is due and ready to go get his goal tonight. 6-4 final for the Edmonton Oilers. I
like Tyler Socks. He says drink during the game and then do the show. What do you think I do every night, brother?
What? Yeah.
What do you think is in this cup? What do you think we're doing? All right, I love you all. I'm going to say 5-3 Oilers. Evan Bouchard gets on the board. I like Lance's, Darnell Nurse, but I can't pick that one. That's Lance's. So I'm going to go with Bouch. All right, shouts out to our sponsors, Shirred for the Giant, Shirred Power Sports Marine, Greta Bar Egg, Bet365, Willock Beef Jerky, Odd Company, and of course, Get Some Oodle Noodle. I saw Lance Kane was talking about making an order later on this evening. And why not? It's Nudes Miss. Go down, get in the raffle draw, and you could win nudes for an entire year or many other exciting products. I love you all. Throw down your courtesy like, please, on your way out. And then get in that post-game chat because something tells me we're going to have some things to talk about later this evening. I'm looking for a spicy game. Also, Lance said it's on its way, actually. Oodle Noodle, Odd Company beers, and Oilers and Avs. Could you ask for a better Saturday night? Peace out. I love you all. Catch you right here after the game on the Flippity Flip.